Hello, Barton, level 5, lesson number 4. So we are working on a reading rule this time. It is the 3 sounds that the suffix ed can make. Now, if you can think back to when your student was probably very little, 2 years old, they often didn't know the suffix ed, didn't say anything other than ed. So they might say, I shall ed the peanuts, or, they would use it in very inappropriate ways, but they would add ed to it. So like, consciously, they knew that ed meant something in the past, and they would use it in that part of their speech, but they would often use it in the wrong way. Like it rained outside, instead of it rained outside. So this is a reading rule, and every now and then this will be a very tricky rule for them. So let's start with the word toss. And again, a very immature way to say it would be I toss Ed. I toss Ed the ball to you. We don't say it like that. We say tossed. It actually has a T sound at the end, tossed. So your student, what we are learning is that even though it says the T sound at the end, what it means is I did this in the past. I tossed this ball to you yesterday. So the reason it has a T sound is because the end of this word is quiet. If you put your hand on your throat, toss. This is quiet, which means the ed is going to make its quiet sound, which the quiet sound for ed is simply the T sound, tossed. Okay, so what we want them to do is make sure that they're working in base word with suffix instead of writing something like tossed, which would rhyme with lost or cost or frost, right? We don't want them to spell tossed like this because it does not mean the same thing. It does not mean the base word toss with the suffix ed on it. So let's look at some other words. All right, we have the word pinch. We're going to add the ed to it. It's, again, this is a quiet sound, pinch. My throat moves, but it does not vibrate. Pinch, pinched. It makes the T sound. Peak, another quiet sound. The K's are all going to be quiet at the end. Peak, peak. I peeked around the corner. Makes the T sound. Peak to peaked. Bank to banked. Same thing. I banked my points today. I banked. There's a T at the end. T sound at the end, I should say. Asked. Now this is a tricky one because what happens in a lot of these words is that this letter becomes silent. We go from ask to asked. Very often when we're talking fast, we simply don't say the K anymore. Asked. Okay. So again, it's a reading rule. It's also a spelling rule in that they have to know they're working in base words. It's so important that they understand the difference between a base word and a suffix. It's really that part of literacy and that part of speech that allows them to have control over these words and understand how to decode and how to encode them. Encoding is the spelling part. So we have the word stay. Now this vibrates. Stay. The A at the end vibrates. So when we put the ed on here, I stayed in place. That makes its vibrating sound, which is the D sound. I stayed in place. Stayed. I spelled the word, okay? Again, this vibrates. This is often what I do for vibrating. This vibrates. This makes its vibrating sound, which is D. Spelled. cheered, cheer. Vibrating goes with vibrating. Cheered. Rained. Vibrating goes with vibrating. Rained. Aimed. Same thing, vibrating goes with vibrating. Here's a quiet one. Dressed. Dressed. Quiet goes with quiet, which leads us up to the interesting point, which is the base word float. Now that ends with one of the sounds that we often change it to, right? So either the T or the D. And we can't say float, even though the T is quiet. Float, T is quiet. If we added the ED and we just made the T sound, this would sound like float. We can't say that. So because it ends with a T, now we're going to say the ED sound. Float ed, floated. I floated down the river. The same thing will work with a D. Load, that vibrates. I can't say loaded. So another one, this is going to be the ed. Load ed. I loaded the truck. Okay, so that's the first part of that. There are a couple exceptions to this one, and we also did some clarifying work too. So let's take a look. The base word is can. The last sound is a vibrating. So the suffix ed will make the d sound right here. Okay, but if I added this right on, this word actually wouldn't say canned right now. This word dot, pull this apart, push this to the back, would say caned, not canned, because this needs the doubling rule. So we did a little bit of review on the spelling. So again, this base word is consonant, vowel, consonant. You're adding a vowel suffix, you do need to double. So the word from can to canned. Okay, so let's look at the next word, which is the word stop. It ends with CVC. We need to double, add the ED. Stopped. Okay, stop, quiet. ED is going to be quiet. Quiet goes with quiet. Okay, now let's take a look at the next word, which is fit. Does it need the doubling rule? Absolutely. This is CVC, so double for me. Fit to fitted. Now, again, this is saying ed at the end because we can't say fit. Okay. We do not double X's ever. So if you see an X here, there's already two sounds there. The X sound says k, s, k, s. All right. So you get to just smuck that right on. My very technical term for my students is smucked. You get to smuck it right on. So taxed, faxed, boxed, any of those. Okay, let's look at this. The word is nod ed. What is the base word? And why are there two D's here? There's two D's because the base word is nod. That ends in consonant, vowel, consonant. All right, let's skip ahead a little bit. And let's go to a word like this. The word is miss, okay? As in, don't miss the bus, okay? But if it already happened and you missed the bus, this will sound like this, mist. But you have to know that there's two different kinds of mist. There's also the mist in the air, right? Like here. So these are homonyms, mist as in missed the bus and mist as in the air. We also, so this is why it's so important to know the base word, okay? So, and know what it means. We also see it a word like past, like it happened in the past, versus he passed the ball to me. Base word pass, add the suffix ed to it. So that is kind of the big teaching part of this. In the student's personalized notebook, on or about page 79, there is a resource guide which talks about the quiet sounds, the vibrating sounds, or the letter D or T. So that is a resource that your student can have. let's take a look at the extra practice work. This time we'll start with the fluency drills. For these, I probably, if my student was having trouble with them, I probably would have them highlight or just take them off and really focus on the base words here. So attacked. This is where you might see them start to creep in with the attack ed stuff or shell ed or blink ed. It's going to be a little bit of repetition. You know, we really want them to be able to decode these words. You can also, there's several ways to decode these words. So remember, this is a vowel suffix. Well, let's not go into that. Let's not do that. Let's just go ahead and I would just look at the base word and add your suffix in it. Wheeled, clapped, picked, strummed. So we can go through and attack them this way. Again, these should be pretty straightforward words. Most of these are going to be one syllable base words. So just working on getting that fluency down. All right, let's take a look at the extra practice pages. I went ahead and completed those ahead of time. So read each word on the blink line, write the sound of the suffix, either the T, the D, or the ED. So this is going to be smacked, shrugged, begged, dished, jetted, wagged, molded, fainted, rolled, pitched, peaked, omitted, tricked, faxed. And then this would be working on some more spelling. So make sure they are checking in a word like spot that they are checking for the doubling rule. So spot will need the doubling rule, flipped, and that's it. The rest of them will not need the doubling rule. And then I've got ahead and underline the sound of ED there. And then the last part is just make 2 or more sentences by drawing the line between the who, the which, the where, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's it. Barton level 5, lesson number 4. Check, check, check.